So, iPhone 11. But firstly, let's unbox it. Now, every year Apple creates a sustainable phone that should last for about 5 to 6 years if you bought it, and I like to call those phones the phone of the decade. Now, what I mean by this is that Apple creates a phone sometime, not in every generation, but in some generation that lasts for a decade. Take example of iPhone 6s. Now, I think iPhone 6s is the phone of the decade, but there has been many controversies about people saying that iPhone 11 might take the spot. Now, iPhone 6s I think is still the best phone Apple ever created, but is it iPhone 11 too? Let's find it out. In this video, I'll be talking about iPhone 11 specs and is it worth buying for you? Let's find it out. Now, firstly, the thing that I love the most about this phone, it's the design. Now, it has Gorilla Glass at the back and Gorilla Glass at the front with aluminum frame or aluminum sandwich glass design. And here I have the black model. Now, I have to say, this phone's design, I'm in love with it. Now, this phone has a really great design. It has a really premium glossy design, and in iPhone 11 Pro it has matte design, so that's the difference in both. And the phone has a good amount of weight. It has 194 grams of weight, and along with those all, this phone also has IP68 rating. IP68 meaning water and dust resistance, so that's that. And I have to say, the design is really good feeling in the hand, the weight is really well balanced, and it feels really good looking and handling the phone. So that's that. So now talking about the display. This phone has a 6.1-inch IPS LCD, not Full HD display. This phone has got 828 into 1792 pixels. Now, you can look for the videos yourself. The colors are really accurate and the display is really vibrant and the display is really good. But it is 828 pixels, so that's that. And the fun thing is, or the funny thing is that YouTube makes you, or let's say YouTube fools you to think that the display is of 4K quality when it is not even Full HD resolution. Now 4K is here and Full HD is here, so I don't know how YouTube is doing that, but this just proves how the display is really good. Now this phone has 625 nits of peak brightness along with 326 ppi. Now I've used this phone in the sun, direct sun specifically, and the display is really good in that part too, so there's no problem in that. Now this phone is quite scratch resistant because it has oleophobic coating, which I think it works, but I have not tested that, so that's that. Now the iPhone that I have, iPhone 11 currently, is running on iOS 14.2, and I think I don't need to say how well optimized Apple's software is along with this chip. Now I have to say the software is really smooth and very well optimized, and there is minimum, or let's say no lag I found in this phone till now. It's really smooth and 5 to 6 years of software update is promised, so everything is good in that part. Now this phone has SIM card tray and volume rocker at the side, lightning port and stereo speakers at the bottom, volume rocker and alert slider at the side. Now I have to say, the slider is really helpful and is really practically useful in day-to-day life. So that's that. Now talking about the stereo speakers. The stereo speaker in the phone is really amazing and you can hear it for yourself. They are really high quality and sound really good.
Over the edge, feel like I'm floating.
iPhone 11 does not have many things. First of all, it does not have 3D touch. Instead, it has haptic feedback. Now, haptic feedback is not any good. It's useful, but not as good as 3D or 3D touch. Now, you can see in this clip here comparing it with iPhone 7 and iPhone 11. 3D touch is way faster, and 3D touch has a very good feel to it, whereas the haptic of iPhone 11 is very good but does not have the same feeling as 3D touch. So I don't miss it, but it does not have it. Now this phone has Bluetooth 5.0 for good connectivity, so that's that, along with NFC and Apple Pay. Now, other thing is this phone does not have fingerprint sensor or fingerprint unlock. You have Face ID, which is really fast. I think that makes up for that. But the time where you wear masks, I don't think Face ID is applicable, and I don't know what they can do about it. They won't put in-display fingerprint sensor, so that's that. But the Face ID is very fast, so no problem in that. Now, talking about the phone's chip, this phone is powered by Apple's A13 Bionic chip. And if you're enjoying the content, a sub to the channel would be delicious. So subscribe to the channel for more future contents like this. Now, as I was saying, Apple's A13 Bionic chip, this chip is really stunning and has very good performance. While I was playing game, I was getting ultra frame rates and ultra settings with no or any sort of lag, with very minimum lag. Now, this shows how powerful the chip is, and the chip is based on 7nm fabrication. So this phone has 3 RAM variants, which is 464, 4128 and 4256. So that's that. And now again, coming back to the chip, it's really good, guys. I'm not even joking. A13 Bionic chip is really good, and many might think that A13 is really slow compared to A14 Bionic chip. You've got that wrong. You can see the gameplay here is really smooth, and on day-to-day performance, as I was using any other apps or any other just multimedia or anything scrolling through Instagram, the chip's performance is very good. There's no problem at all, and that's that. Now, this phone, along with 7nm fabrication, now this 7nm fabrication saves battery because of its smaller size, so it takes less capacity of the battery. Now this phone has not in any way big battery, 3110 mAh, but pretty average amount for Apple phones. Now, the thing is, many people say this is the best battery life ever found in iPhone, and technically it's yes, but its competitors, OnePlus 8, which is $100 cheaper than that, has a screen on time of about 6 hours, whereas iPhone has 5 hours plus. So I don't know about that. Now it comes down to either Android or iOS, so I'll talk about that later, but the battery life is still really good. 5 hours plus screen on time is a really good number, and I have to say the battery life along with its performance is very well optimized, and the software is also well optimized, so that's that. Now coming back to the chip, so here as I was talking, the phone does not lag. Here I have a clip of showing you between switching cameras of ultra wide 0.5 to 1, which is wide, and its software 2x zoom. Now you can see the transition is really smooth, and this just shows how powerful the chip is. These small details is what it makes it very powerful, or let's say very less laggy as compared to other phones. As I was talking about the camera in the chip performance, the camera is the main thing for this phone. Now this phone has got a dual rear camera of 12 megapixel, which is 26mm, which has optical image stabilization and face detection autofocus, which is the main camera, and it also has 12 megapixel 13mm 120 degree wide angle view ultra wide camera. So both of these cameras are very good. They click very high quality photo, and they can go up to 4K 30 fps, 60 fps, or even 4K 24 fps. So that's a very good thing, and along with HDR, of course. It has got dual flashlight LED the back too. Now talking about the front camera, this phone has got a 12 megapixel front selfie camera, which has SL3D, which is single lens 3D for portrait shots and depth for sensing depth. Now this has got three sensors at its front bezel, so that is why it's that thick. So you can see in this clip too, the three sensors are clearly visible, and the photos and videos are very top tier quality. You can look it for yourself. So this is the video footage from this phone, and here switching between ultra wide, wide and 1.5 zoom is really easy, simple, and the difference is really seamless here, except the 1.5 zoom because it does not have telephoto. And let's try this. I'm really shaking the phone, but the image seems to be really good. This is because of optical image stabilization in this phone, and the dynamic range is really good. So this is from the front selfie camera, and if you can see the sun, the exposure is really balanced well. Now, is this the phone of this decade, and is iPhone 11 worth it, or should you go for any other phones? I'll be answering that. But firstly, three things that this phone does not have. That is telephoto camera, OLED display, and 5G. This phone does not have these three things that would be really good in long term, but that's that. And other minor details, but that's just gonna miss out while you use, because it's really good a phone. It has really good chip, it has a very good quality display, but not an OLED, but the blacks are not that black as an OLED, but really black. And other colors are really vibrant too. The speakers are really good, and I think the performance will last for a long time, and the software update as promised is of 6 years maximum, I think so. So it's all good in that part. Now, is this the phone of this decade? Yes. Now, I'm not saying that I've changed my opinion on 6S being the phone of the decade, but the thing is that technology has advanced so much, specifically in the smartphone section, that there are a lot of things, a lot of changes. Every year there have been foldable phones, rollable phones, flingable or winging phones. I don't know what that means, but you get that LG wing phone. And it has been so much going up and up. The trend is going so up and up. I think the 6S won't be able to hold much now. Now, not to say, if you were asking me which phone is better, iPhone XS or XS or iPhone 6s, I would probably suggest you to buy iPhone 6s because it was not of much of an upgrade. But in iPhone 11, that's a different case. Now, this phone is really good if you want to buy as an iOS experience user, but that does not finish there. I think there is a lot of competition for this phone, and if you just want iOS or you cannot look for Android, you can buy this phone. If you are a very high iOS user or if you want iOS, you can take this phone. But if you can do good with Android, which is really good, Android is not bad at all. Many people who use iOS think that iOS is the best and Android does not come close to it, but that's a wrong concept because Android is head to head with iOS. So as I was saying, Android phones, there are a lot of same ranged or very samely priced phones along with iPhone 11 that does better than iPhone 11, like OnePlus 8 Pro, and there are other phones too, a lot of phones there. So that's that. And if you want, or if you are thinking of a value champion, then go for OnePlus 8, and if you want iOS, then go for iPhone 11. That's simple. The next thing is, iPhone 11, is it worth it for the price? No, iPhone 11 is not worth it for its price. Now, this phone's launch price was around $600 at US, but in other countries the price is very, very high. And in these countries, for around 40,000 price or less than 40,000, you get a very absolute value for money phone made by Samsung, made by Xiaomi, made by Realme. And I have to say, those phones are really better than iPhone 11. Not saying that iPhone 11 is a bad phone, it's an excellent phone. It has really good and it can last up to a decade, maybe, but nobody would use a phone for 10 years, I think. And I think that there is a lot of competition in the market with Android phones being less cheaper than you can get Android phones for $100. But if you go for up to 40,000 or less than that, I mean 40,000 in rupees, or let's say around 40,000 Nepali rupees or $400, you get really good phones than that. I suggest you to buy OnePlus 7 Pro too. It's $300 currently and has, I think, good performance than iPhone 11 too. So that's that. And if you enjoyed the content, a sub to the channel would be very appreciated. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. This is me, Microtech. Love animals. Peace out.